This day in history, February 6th.
In 1864, General Robert E. Lee was named Commander-in-Chief of the Confederate Armies, but was forced to surrender to Yankee General Ulysses S. Grant 2 months later. This day in 1971 marked a first in golf, when astronaut Alan Shepard teed off on the moon. This day in 2001, Ariel Sharon was elected Prime Minister of Israel in a landslide victory over Ehud Barak. And on this day in 1952, England drew a queen for a king. 56-year-old King George VI suffered a heart attack and died in his sleep. His 25-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, was visiting Kenya when she got word that her father was gone and that she was the new Queen of England. And that's this day in history.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for February 6th. Today we celebrate St. Paul Miki and companions. The 26 men and women we honor today, the first martyrs of the Far East, remind us yet again of the price followers of Jesus have paid throughout history. Jesuit brother Paul Miki, a native of Japan, has become the best known among the martyrs who died in 1597 during a period of harsh persecution of Christians. His companions who also lost their lives included a Franciscan, St. Peter Baptist, catechists, doctors, artisans, servants, elderly men, and children. What bound them together was their common faith and their love for Jesus and his church. Paul Miki continued to preach Christianity in his final hours. While hanging upon a cross placed on a hill overlooking Nagasaki, he forgave his persecutors. Following the crucifixions of Paul Miki and his companions, some missionary work continued. Finally, Christians were forced to go underground until the 1860s, when Japan was reopened to the outside world. Upon their return, the missionaries found little trace of Christianity, except around Nagasaki, where local Christians had secretly preserved the faith. The martyrs of Japan were canonized in 1862.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. When the Pharisees with some scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus, they observed that some of his disciples ate their meals with unclean, that is, unwashed hands. For the Pharisees, and in fact all Jews, do not eat without carefully washing their hands, keeping the tradition of the elders. And on coming from the marketplace, they do not eat without purifying themselves. There are many other things that they have traditionally observed, the purification of cups and jugs and kettles and beds. So the Pharisees and scribes questioned him, "Why do your disciples not follow the tradition of the elders, but instead eat a meal with unclean hands?" He responded, "Well, did Isaiah prophesy you about the hypocrites, as it is written? This people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines human precepts." You disregard God's commandments, but cling to human tradition, he went on to say. How well you have set aside the commandment of God in order to uphold your tradition. For Moses said, "Honor your father and mother, and whoever curses father or mother shall die." Yet you say, if someone says to father or mother, "Any support you might have had from me as korban," meaning dedicated to God, you allow him to do nothing more for his father or mother. You nullify the word of God in favor of your tradition that you have handed on, and you do so many such things.